On behalf of School of Environmental Science, ABVP JNU unit, Shodh JNU, and Student for Development SFD JNU. So today's lecture, the topic of today's lecture is the development of biofuel from waste feedstock and potential for climate change and mitigation. As we all know, there is there are dwindling resources of energy all around the world. Right now, we are dependent on fossil fuel and kind of energy, which is actually very much dwindling and having scarce of it. So there is an emerging field of biofuel, which is actually a very important for us, for a community, to understand about it for sake of future energy demands. So now today we have eminent speakers with us who are actually expert of the field, and they will be discussing about the great technology which will be very useful, extremely useful and sustainable technology which will be useful for future aspects. We have two eminent speakers here, Dr. Alok Singh and Dr. Vinayak Vandan Pathak. And
Namaste, sabhi ko.
I welcome both of you, and I call Mr. Saurabh Singh, who is a PhD scholar here in School of Environmental Science. He will be introducing our two both of speakers, and we will ask both of them to interact with you. Dr. Alok sir will be explaining you about today's lecture, and will be telling you a short brief about Shodh. And our main lecture of Dr. Vinayak Vandan Pathak on the topic will be the main lecture. Let me tell you about the time classification. Sir will be telling you short. In short, Dr. Alok Kumar will be telling you short about Shodh, what we are actually doing with Shodh with all around the country. And the main lecture of 45 minutes will be of Dr. Vinayak Vandan Pathak, and afterward question session will be there as per the time schedule. So I request Mr. Saurabh Kumar Singh, PhD scholar. He will be welcoming and introducing both of our guest and speaker. Mr. Saurabh Kumar Singh, please. Mr. Saurabh Kumar Singh. Give me a second. Oh, okay, I guess there is some connection problem. The message I received from Saurabh Kumar Singh. We have two speakers here. Dr. Alok Kumar Singh is our guest. Dr. Alok Kumar Singh is from School of has done his doctorate from School of Life Sciences, JNU, and currently serving in SRCASW, University of Delhi, as assistant professor. And he is national convener of Shodh, Student for Holistic Development of Humanity. And our main speaker is Dr. Vinayak Vandan Pathak. Dr. Vinayak Vandan Pathak has completed his master's in environmental science from School of Environmental Science, Baba Sahib Bhimrao Ambedkar University, BBAU Lucknow, which is actually a central university. His PhD is on biofuel technologies, particularly on algal biofuel from Gurukul Kangadi University. He has done his PhD from Gurukul Kangadi University in biofuel technologies, particularly on algal biofuel. Currently, he is serving as assistant professor in Manav Rachna University, Faridabad, Haryana, and he's a young and dynamic researcher and teacher. His research mainly focuses on algal biofuel, and particularly on biofuel based different biological technologies based on different biological waste, and several important and he is making several improvements in such technologies. He has published more than 40 high quality research papers in several high impact journals. along with more than 600 citation in such a young age. First of all, I would like to call Dr. Alok Singh to please talk with us. Dr. Alok Kumar Singh.
Okay, so namaste everyone. So first of all, I congratulate the organizer of this very relevant and significant topic, the biofuel, which can be used to mitigate different type of problem, like basically the atmospheric carbon and increasing the carbon sources in the earth. So first, I talk about the Shodh, what is Shodh, and how we are working in different universities and institutions in India and as well as outside India. So Shodh is basically interdisciplinary platform, and it is a research and research focused organization, and also the professor and scientists also working with us, and they are mentoring the researcher all over India. So the target is, since we know the most of the research in our country is basically academic focus, means the research is inside the boundary of the particular institution, and the research is more or less focused for the recruitment or assistant professorship or the promotion or getting up some position in a different academic institution. But the target should be to solve the problem of the society, to do research which is needed for the country's growth and development for 10 to from 15 to 20 years, I mean the futuristic research. So here in Shodh, we try to search the topic which is relevant for the growth of the country, and also it is not only a science and technology, it is focused for social sciences, environmental sciences, life sciences, all the aspects. And the topic is basically centralized for the indigenous research, means how we can extract the research which is very relevant for India in terms of social sciences, our humanities, our sciences, and how we can solve the problem of the societies, like the problem of the climate. Climate is very important problem, and the climate is with time this problem is getting worse and worse, especially means the metropolitan city we are in, living Delhi, and we can see in the winter period the smoke and how the pollution, the air pollution actually increases. So this is the real problem which the most of the Indian in the metropolitan cities are facing, and we have to uh, solve this problem. We have to find the solution of this problem. So today's lecture in the biofuel topic, uh, as we know, with time we are extracting a lot of the fossil fuels from the earth, and we are releasing the carbon in the atmosphere. So this particular carbon dioxide, in the carbon dioxide or methane, or other variants of the carbon, they are actually increasing the greenhouse effect, and they are increasing the temperature of the earth. So we have to develop technology in which we have to keep this carbon source inside the earth in the form of biochar or the biofuel. So in this format, definitely we are going to solve this problem. And I definitely we have met Vinayak, and I met in the Banu Rachna University, and we discussed a lot about how to how to focus this biofuel research in the field of energy sector. Like MSME is also promoting a lot of research to produce ethanol from the wheat and rice husk, and including all the different type of crops which is growing in India. So I think this particular field is very promising, and researcher and the different student should focus on this particular topic to increase the impact, increase the the production of biofuels from different sources. And I think today's lecture is going to very crucial, very important for the young researcher, and the student, which is means environmental science, and also the different institution which are means joining this lecture. So that's all from my side, and I think this particular collaboration means the SOD, SFD, ABVP, such collaboration means should more come with more ideas, more topics in the future, so that the researcher and the student can get flavor of such sustainable topics and sustainable research in coming days. So and I also urge from the research scholar to join the SHODH group. SHODH is basically I already said, this is an interdisciplinary group where we sit, we discuss in a monthly basis to solve different topics, to discuss different problems in Delhi and also in India. So that's all from my side. Thank you, Ambuj, Saurabh, and all the organizing members from Environmental Sciences and ABVP JNU. Thank you.
Thank you, Alok sir. And now I will request Dr. Vinayak Vandan Pathak to speak about the today's title, and we thank Dr. Vinayak Vandan Pathak as well for joining us for this lecture and accept our request for the same. Dr. Vinayak Vandan Pathak, please.
Thank you, Ambuj. Thank you for such a nice introduction. Respected Alok Singh sir, students, scholars, I am thankful to all of you for inviting me here to deliver a lecture on the topic of development of biofuels from different waste feedstock and its potential for climate change. So, if I start by topic, first of all, we need to understand what is the background of energy scenario in India. Okay, so I'm just going to share the screen. Just a minute. Am I audible, Ambuj?
Yes, sir, you are loud and clear.
Okay. Just give me a minute. I'm just going to share the screen. I have just shared my screen. It is visible, Ambuj? Okay.
Yes, it is visible to us.
Okay, thank you, Ambuj. So, if we consider the energy background of India, so first of all, we have to consider how large our nation. So, in terms of geographical landmass, India is among the, I think India is the seventh largest country. In terms of population, India ranks second. And if we talk about the gross domestic product based economy, so India falls under the top 10 countries. But when we come to the energy resources, we have a wide variety of energy resources, but still we have not achieved sufficient capacity of energy generation that we could be able to fulfill the demand of each and every one. Okay. If we consider the Power for All scheme, which was launched in 2017, so it was targeted in that scheme that we have to electrify all the villages of India, but still in 2021, more than 50% of villages are not electrified. So it means there is a problem of electrification in India, and it is because of the lack of energy supply, because of the lack of energy generation. So if we consider the energy scenario, the total installed capacity of India is about 3,84,116 megawatt. I am talking about the electricity generation. Okay, and if we consider the share of fossil fuel in the total energy generation, it is about 60.9%. So it clearly indicates that our energy system is based on fossil fuels. We are still dependent on fossil fuels. But if you consider the share of renewables, so it is quite promising because the share of renewable energy resources is about 25.2%. It means renewable energy sources have large potential to replace this fossil fuel based energy generation. If we compare this data with the previous data like 2015 or 16, 4 or 5 years back, so the share of renewable energy sources in total energy generation was only limited to 12%. So in 4 or 5 years, we have increased our renewable energy resources. If we consider the consumer of energy resources in India, the major consumer in India for energy resources is industrial sector, and it is around 55.85%. So whatever energy we produce, industrial sectors are the major consumer. For the miscellaneous sector, means agriculture sector, commercial or household consumption, it share around 30.63%. So whatever energy we produce and what is the consumption of energy, there is a huge gap between the demand and supply. So in order to fulfill the demand and supply, additional energy generation is required, and that energy generation should be based on the renewable resources. Then only we can fulfill the target of sustainability, we can fulfill the target of sustainable developmental goals. If we consider our sustainable developmental goals, so we have to see the goal number 7. According to the goal number 7, it is for the affordable clean energy. And if we consider the goal number 13, it is for the climate action. So we should not see these goals as a separate goals because the both are interlinked. Without having affordable clean energy supply, we cannot fulfill the goal of climate action because if we consider the fossil fuel based energy generation, it is directly going to the emission of greenhouse gas emissions. Okay, so if we want to reduce our greenhouse gas emission, if we want to supply a clean energy, then we have to move towards the renewable energy resources. So why biofuel? Why not solar? Why not wind energy or geothermal energy? India has different variety of renewable energy resources, and we have well-developed solar energy sources. We have wind energy. I think India is doing great in the field of wind energy. But why biofuel? Biofuel because biofuel can be considered as a localized energy resources.
Excuse me,
Because
sir.
yes.
Hello. Sir, may you please full make your screen full while presenting? It
Okay.
will be more
Okay. Okay, it is fine.
This is good. Yes, this is very
okay.
good.
Thank you. Okay. So why biofuel? Because biofuel is a localized energy resources. Because of the diverse climatic conditions, various parts of India, there are a number of different types of variety of plants. Okay, so we can extract energy from a variety of plant species, and also we can extract energy from the product of animals. For example, traditionally we are using cow dung for the generation of biogas. Okay, so biofuel based or biomass based energy generation is considered as a sustainable fuel. Now, what is the potential of this biomass based energy generation? So according to the recent data of MNRE, it has been estimated that the overall potential of this biomass based energy generation is around 18,000 megawatt, and it is the huge energy that if we are able to achieve this target, then we can fulfill the demand and supply gap. Now, if you consider the biomass, so we can classify the biomass on the basis of the availability of feedstocks. For example, suppose we are using a feedstock or a biomass which are basically a food crop. So in that case, it is termed as first generation biomass, and the fuel which we will extract from this biomass is considered as first generation biofuel. So there were various drawbacks associated with this first generation biofuel. For example, food versus fuel competition. Because to assure food security is also a prime target of India due to the vast population. Okay, so we cannot synthesize energy from the food crops. That is why we have to move towards the second generation biofuel. So what is second generation biofuel? Second generation biofuel was basically based on the extraction of fuel from those biomass which do not have food value. These are basically waste biomass, or you can say lignocellulosic biomass. So when we are going to produce energy by using lignocellulosic biomass, it is a part of second generation biofuel. But it has certain limitations, certain disadvantages. So with a further improvement, third generation biofuel was introduced, and third generation biofuel was mainly concerned with the application of microalgae or microalgal based energy generation. And it has been found that third generation biofuel is more sustainable, cost effective, and efficient biofuel, and it has potential to replace the existing fossil fuel based energy generation. So I think it is now clear that why biofuel is sustainable, because it is biodegradable, and if we are able to replace fossil fuels by using biofuels, then it means we are going to reduce the dependency on the foreign oil. And we should consider the data that India import 80% of its oil from the Middle East. So it means we are going to consume a major economy of India on the purchasing of petroleum. Okay, so if we are shifting our transportation fuels towards the biofuels which we are producing in our own country, we are going to save a huge money. Okay, so it provides economic security. It is renewable in nature. Then it has been found that if we are using a liquid fuel which is derived from any plant-based materials, so the emission of greenhouse gas emission is relatively lower than the fossil fuel-based emission. And it is easy to source. We can cultivate our biomass anywhere, okay, in the particular climatic conditions. So that is why we can say that biofuel is a sustainable resource for energy generation. So if we consider second generation biofuel for the energy generation, what are the different options available to us? There are a number of sectors where agriculture residues are produced. For example, in the farmland areas, there are surplus biomass in the forest areas in the form of residues, logs, chips, barks. Okay, and there are some dedicated energy crops which we can cultivate for the energy generation. But all these biomass have certain disadvantages. For example, in the case of agriculture waste, suppose we are using agriculture waste only for the energy generation. In that case, we are going to reduce the availability of these waste material as a fodder for the animal feedstock. This agricultural waste has potential to be used as a fertilizer to the particular field area. So there are some limitations with this agriculture waste. If you consider the energy crops have certain disadvantages. For example, it will require irrigation. So there is again a consumption of water, which is again a critical resource. It also require land area. We are still lacking with the land area. That is, land acquisition is a problem in India. So again, it is not sustainable. If you consider forest waste, collection efficiency is a problem in the case of forest biomass. We are not able to collect forest biomass in a proper way, in a proper channel, so that we can establish a biorefinery on the basis of forest residue. But aquatic weeds. Aquatic weeds are the available biomass feedstock which have potential to produce energy of different kinds. For example, liquid energy, liquid biofuels, gaseous biofuels, or we can produce solid biofuels by using the aquatic weeds. These aquatic weeds, when they are present in the aquatic ecosystem, they have some certain harmful impact on the aquatic life. For example, they are unwanted and undesirable vegetation, and they also release some allergens which can destroy the aquatic life. So if we are able to use these aquatic weeds for the generation of biofuel, ultimately we are going to clean the aquatic ecosystem as well as we are going to produce a sustainable energy. Okay, so what are the potential of these aquatic weeds to be used as a biofuel feedstock? First of all, fast growth rate. If we want to produce energy, so the availability of raw material is a major concern. So if the growth rate is fast, it means we are going to cultivate this biomass in a short period of time. Okay, these biomass are rich in cellulose, hemicellulose, starch with low lignin content. This is the advantage with aquatic feedstock, low lignin content. If we compare aquatic feedstock with agricultural feedstock, in the case of agricultural based crop residues, they have rich lignin content, and because of the rich lignin content, their degradability is an issue. Okay, if we are going to produce bioenergy, so lignin content is going to be a barrier. So if lignin content is lower in aquatic weeds, so it is an advantage for the biomass feedstock. There is no any additional land area requirement for cultivation of these aquatic weeds because they produce naturally in the water bodies, and also they are efficient for the phytoremediation. It means if we are cultivating these aquatic weeds in the integration of wastewater plants, so that we can reduce the cost of treatment, as well as we can use the nutrient inside the wastewater for the cultivation of these crops, these aquatic weeds. Okay, so we can produce valuable co-products in a very cost-effective manner if we are using aquatic weeds in the integration of wastewater treatment plants. Their adaptability is so high that we can produce these aquatic weeds under the stress conditions. So overall, we can say that aquatic weeds are a sustainable biomass feedstock, which is considered a waste biomass. Now, what are the process available for the conversion of these aquatic weeds into the bioenergy? So there are some conventional processes: fermentation, anaerobic digestion, and ethanol fermentation. I think you all are aware with this process. What is dark fermentation, what is anaerobic digestion, and what is ethanol fermentation? But when we apply our biomass, that is aquatic feedstock, slides are visible or not, Ambuj?
So slide is not visible now.
I think there is some connection error. I'm just going to fix. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay. I think it is visible now.
Yes,
Slides are
sir, it is
visible.
visible.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Thank
it is
you.
visible.
Thank you.
First, just to make full
So-
screen.
Okay. So I was talking about a different route of conversion through which we can convert our aquatic weed into the bioenergy. Okay. So if we consider dark fermentation process, in the dark fermentation process, we use hydrogen producing bacteria, and these bacteria are so efficient to produce hydrogen when we provide a substrate rich in the glucose and xylose, or you can say substrate rich in sugar. But there is a limitation which we will discuss it further. Okay. In the case of anaerobic digestion, the substrate rich in carbohydrate like glucose or xylose, we can provide methanogens, and these methanogen under the process of anaerobic digestion can produce biomethane, which is also considered as a clean gas. Okay. And finally, ethanol fermentation. By the fermentation, we can produce ethanol. In the process of ethanol formation, we use a species of fungus, that is Saccharomyces yeast, and by the enzymatic action, we can convert our substrate into the bioalcohol. So here you can see that there are three different energy products: hydrogen, methane, and ethanol. And all these three products are so relevant that they can be efficiently used to replace the fossil fuels. We can use hydrogen in the transportation sector. We can use methane for the cooking purpose, for the transportation purpose, and ethanol for the blending of fossil fuels. It is still in practice. Okay. Now, what are the limitations in this process? So, if we consider dark fermentation process, so the challenge is the yield. So in the dark fermentation process, low hydrogen yield is still a challenge. So we need further innovation to increase the hydrogen yield for the dark fermentation process. Then incomplete substrate degradation. It has been found that only 33% of the conversion of substrate into the gas. So I think researchers who are listening to this lecture, they will find a target to increase the hydrogen yield or to increase the degradability of the substrate in the process of dark fermentation. If you consider anaerobic digestion process is efficiently used in India for the biogas generation, and we are using this process since 1970 or before 1970 under the Khadi movement. Okay, so biogas generation is a process in which we produce biomethane by using methanogenic bacteria, but there are some limitations. For example, low substrate conversion efficiency again, and the main problem is high HRT. What is HRT? HRT means the incubation time to produce the biogas. Okay, so large time is required for the degradation of biomass or the substrate for the generation of biogas. Then lack of syntropy between different microbial communities, acid producing and methane producing. It means biogas production takes places in various steps. In the first step, there is the formation of volatile fatty acids, and in the steps, there are different types of microbial communities. So if there is lack of syntropy between those microbial species, so it may inhibit the growth of methanogenic bacteria, and ultimately it will reduce the generation of methane. So we have to find out an efficient species of methanogen which can easily degrade the biomass for the production of methane. In the case of ethanolic fermentation process, we utilize mainly cellulose in form of glucose, xylose, fraction of the hemicellulose, but most of the fraction of this sugar-based biomass remain unutilized because in the fermentation process, the yeast acts only on the specific composition of the biomass. So it is again a limitation in this conversion process. So how we can overcome these limitations? These limitations can be resolved when we use an integrated pathway for the conversion of biomass into the bioenergy. And what is this integration? Actually, this integration can be considered as a circular process, a circular economy. Why I'm saying it a circular economy? When we produce energy from the waste material, we try to use each and every portion of waste material to convert into the energy. But during the process, some fraction of the waste material remain unused or remain unutilized. Okay, so if we are able to develop a process where we can use complete waste material for the energy generation, and after the process, if there is no residues left, okay, so it can be considered as zero waste technology, or it is considered as circular economy. Okay, so in this process, what we have done, in the first step, we have performed acidogenic fermentation process. And in this process, we produced hydrogen gas. And whatever the substrate digested in the first step, this substrate was introduced in an electrolytic cell where we have performed electrolysis for the hydrogen production again. So in the two-step process, we have used each and every portion of the waste material for the generation of hydrogen. So we not only increases the hydrogen yield, but we have also increased the degradability of substrate. Okay, and you can see that the total hydrogen yield in the combined process, in the integrated process, was around 30.16 moles hydrogen per kilogram of the total organic carbon of the substrate. And we have also achieved high extent of organic removal. It was about 67.2%. Okay, so if you compare the removal of organic compounds in a single step process, so in the integrated process, it was efficiently removed. Okay, now in the another case, again we have integrated the process, but in a different way. Here we have integrated the process of hydrogen production and the process of biomethane production simultaneously. Okay, so you can see that in the first step we are performing acidogenic fermentation for the generation of hydrogen gas. Okay, similar to the first process, whatever the substrate which were left in the first step, we have introduced into the fuel cell, and again we are producing hydrogen energy. And whatever the effluent or substrate which remain in the fuel cell, we have introduced that waste material into the methanogenic chamber for the anaerobic digestion process, and we have produced biogas. So by integrating all these processes, we are able to achieve hydrogen gas, we were able to achieve biomethane. It means we have efficiently degraded our substrate for the generation of different variety of energy products, and you can see the results. So if we compare a single step process and an integrated process, then it is definitely, you can see that in this integrated process, the efficiency of energy conversion is multiple times higher than the single step process. Okay, so those who want to work in the area of biofuel based energy generation should try to integrate different processes for the generation of energy. It is more sustainable and time saving. Now, for the bioalcohol production, we can also use integrated approach. So integrated approach for the co-production of ethanol and methane from aquatic seeds. Okay. So after the fermentation process, if there is any residue left in the process, we can introduce that residue for the anaerobic digestion, and we can produce biogas. And whatever slurry which is remained after the biogas production, it is so rich in nutrients that we can use it as a fertilizer. So nothing is going to be in the waste material. Okay. So it was all about the second generation biofuel. Now, the most sustainable biofuel, which is considered as third generation biofuel, and microalgae is a representative species for the third generation biofuel. So what are the drawbacks associated with the second generation biofuel, which is resolved by this third generation biofuel? Despite of having several benefits with the second generation biofuel, there were some drawbacks like ease of process, cost effectiveness of process. Okay, so with third generation biofuels, we are able to achieve a cost effective bioenergy product. Okay, so why microalgae? Microalgae have potential to synthesize valuable biomolecule, protein, lipid, carbohydrate, and in several cases we have also found that in some species omega-3 fatty acids is also present, which is a valuable high commodity product. So microalgae are efficient species to synthesize valuable chemical products. Okay, so what is the raw material, or you can say what are the precursor for biofuel which is present in the microalgae? So it is a lipid. It is the fatty acids which is present in the lipid that can be converted into the biofuel. And not only lipid, we can also convert the sugar or the starch content present inside the microalgae for the production of biogas or bioethanol. The advantage with the microalgae is that it has higher biomass productivity in compared to the available terrestrial plants. At the same time, microalgae are also efficient to capture carbon dioxide with a greater efficiency than the terrestrial plant. That is why when we produce bioenergy by using microalgae, it ultimately play a great role in the climate change mitigation. So that is why microalgae can be used in order to manage our ecosystem, for the synthesis of commodity molecules, for the synthesis of various valuable products, pigments. We can extract products which can be used in the cosmetic, nutraceuticals. Spirulina is a well-known candidate of microalgae, which we use for the protein as a protein supplement. Okay. Now, we have conducted a study in our university, and this study was conducted by our students. In our university, we have a treatment plant, a wastewater treatment plant of 2000 liter capacity. It is a very small scale wastewater treatment plant. What we have done, we have just integrated the treatment of this wastewater with the microalgae. You can see that we have cultivated algal biomass in a wastewater tank, and we have cultivated huge amount of waste biomass by using the wastewater. Okay. So what was the benefit behind using the algal biomass with wastewater? Alga, being a photosynthetic microorganisms, releases oxygen, and this oxygen is utilized by the aerobic bacteria present inside the wastewater, which accelerates the degradation of organic pollutant inside the wastewater. So, uh, we are not only achieving the biomass, but we are also treating the wastewater. So we have proposed a scheme through which we can not only fix the carbon dioxide which is released from the different industrial sources, it also involves the treatment of wastewater, and at the same time we can harvest valuable algal biomass, and this algal biomass can be used for the production of biofuel, for the production of nutraceutical, and for the production of high commodity chemicals. There are a number of technologies by which we can cultivate algal biomass. Like there are some their ponds which is considered as outdoor cultivation. We can construct closed photobioreactors, or we can construct hybrid reactors. Closed photobioreactor is so popular in the industries. So if we connect the flue gases which is released from the industrial sectors with the closed PBR, and if we supply the wastewater in the PBR, so we can fulfill the requirement of carbon dioxide and nutrients for the algal biomass. Okay, so if we adopt this scheme for the cultivation of algal biomass, and if we are able to convert biomass into the biofuel cultivated in this system, then we can solve three problems. Number one, climate change issue. Number second, energy crisis, and number third is the wastewater treatment, or you can say the water crisis problem. So this is our result. From a very small scale plant, our students have achieved very good results. So from the 2000 KLD plant, they harvested a huge amount of algal biomass. The data is actually projected data on the basis of annual biomass production. Okay, and finally, 98.88 liter of biodiesel was produced from the algal biomass cultivated on the wastewater. Okay, so if we consider the whole scenario of wastewater generation and their treatment capacity, so we can find that huge amount of wastewater still remain untreated and directly dumped into the water bodies, and it contribute into the water pollution in a greater extent. So if we are able to adopt such kind of system in the wastewater treatment plants, so we will be able to reduce the load of wastewater treatment plant, and at the same time we can generate some energy so that we can reduce the cost of wastewater treatment, and also we can create a bioeconomy. Now, these are the some species which are well known for the carbon dioxide capturing. You can see the Chlorella sorokina, which have potential to absorb carbon dioxide, 5% CO2 concentration it can grow. So these are the species which have been explored by our team and some other researchers for the efficiently capturing of carbon dioxide by growing in the wastewater. So finally, we can conclude that if we are using second generation biofuel, there is an issue of process feasibility. We have to uh, we have to do more research for a sustainable pathway for the conversion of second generation biofuel into the biomass to the biofuels. It requires less extensive treatment, pre-treatment in the case of aquatic weed. Okay, if you are using aquatic weed for biofuel production, then less pre-treatment is required. And if you are using agriculture residues or any residues which you produce by the terrestrial crops, in that case, extensive pre-treatment is required. Then enhanced substrate oxidation. It is in the case of integrated system. So whenever we are going to produce bioenergy from the biomass, we should follow integrated pathway for the generation of bioenergy so that we can increase the degradability of biomass and we can achieve more energy efficiency. Enhanced energy conversion efficiency, we have seen that if we are integrating different pathways, different system, so we can enhance the conversion efficiency. Then development of zero waste industry. Okay, so it is basically it is a benefit to use waste biomass for the energy generation, because we are also doing solid waste management. So it provides a boost to waste based circular economy. So if there is any question from anyone, most welcome. Thank you, everyone.
It is requested to everyone if there is any question may ask.
Hello, it's Dr. Monica Jain from Bhopal. Can I ask a question, sir?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Sir, it's a wonderful presentation and very useful technique also. So first of all, I want to congratulate you for this achievement. Sir,
Thank you so much, ma'am.
yeah, if we wish to plant this technique, or we want to use this technique in an area where corn are much in quantity, so can we convert corn cob into the fuel?
Ma'am, you are saying corn.
या कॉर्न जो होता है, कॉर्न जो मतलब भुट्टा है, भुट्टे को अगर हमने
Yes,
यूज
exactly,
किया
ma'am.
उसके बाद कॉर्न
Mhm.
कॉब जो बचता है उसका बचा हुआ रिमेनिंग पार्ट है, कैन
Yes, ma'am.
इट
Yes, ma'am.
बी यूज्ड एज अ फ्यूल?
Yes, ma'am. We can use that waste biomass in the fuel, but in
Yeah.
that case, we have to follow a pre-treatment process. In
Okay.
our research, yes, ma'am. In our research, we have find that alkaline pretreatment is favorable for the conversion of that biomass into the
Okay.
biofuel, and you can follow the process of anaerobic digestion after the
Okay.
pretreatment of that corn stover or whatever residues left after the corn. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
after the pretreatment process, you can use that feedstock for the anaerobic digestion, and you can produce biogas.
Sir, what will be the cost for the plant this whole machinery or the treatment process?
Ma'am, actually, it is a problem. When we are going to
Yeah.
determine the cost of bioenergy production, we have to consider different factors. Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah.
So I request you first of all perform your research work on the basis of some laboratory experiments. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then project your work on such a pilot scale. Then you can
Okay.
analyze the cost. Actually, yes, ma'am.
So, can you help us in that research part also?
Sure, ma'am. Sure, I can help.
Sir, can we have your email ID, or can you share that so I can contact you personally?
Yes, ma'am. You can take my email ID from Ambuj. He has my email ID and
Okay.
contact number. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Most welcome, ma'am.
Shortly, we'll be sharing the email ID of Dr. Vinayak Nandan Pathak in the screen at end.
Students, any question?
So, Binagzi, I have a question. So,
Yes, sir.
suppose a farmer want to, start this project. I mean, suppose they want to grow chlorella, specifically algae chlorella, on their pond or like any water reservoir. So, means which type of difficulty they will face.
Okay, sir. Sir, in the South India, basically in the South Indian region, farmers are cultivating spirulina for the generation of protein feedstock, protein
Protein.
supplement. Yes, sir. और साउथ इंडिया में बहुत पॉपुलर है स्पिरुलिना प्रोटीन फीड स्टॉक के लिए, और जबकि अगर हम नॉर्थ इंडिया में देखें तो कल्टीवेशन इतना पॉपुलर नहीं है, प्रोडक्ट हम यूज़ कर रहे हैं, हम स्पायरेक्स यूज़ कर रहे हैं, हम वेस्टीज के प्रोडक्ट्स देख पाते हैं जो स्पिरुलिना बेस्ड प्रोडक्ट्स हैं। अगर हम क्लोरेला की बात करें तो क्लोरेला स्पीशीज़ के अंदर जो बायोमॉलिक्यूल्स हैं, स्पेशली प्रोटीन, ओमेगा 3 फैटी एसिड्स एंड लिपिड्स, इनकी जो क्वांटिटी है अगर हम अदर माइक्रोएल्गल स्पीशीज से कंपेयर करें तो मल्टीपल टाइम ज़्यादा है। लेकिन जो बेसिक चैलेंज है, एक तो पहला चैलेंज इसमें यह है कि कल्टीवेशन का जो मेथड है, जैसे कि अगर हम ओपन कल्टीवेशन करते हैं कॉस्ट तो कम आती है, लेकिन वहाँ पर कंटामिनेशन के चांसेस ज़्यादा होते हैं,
Yes.
क्योंकि जिस न्यूट्रिएंट को हम दे रहे हैं उस न्यूट्रिएंट में अनवांटेड स्पीशीज ग्रो कर जाती हैं। तो इस केस में जो हाइब्रिड मेथड है, यानी कि जहाँ पर हम पहले तो उसको कल्चर को ऑक्जेनिक करके उसके अंदर जो पॉपुलेशन है स्पीशीज़ की उसको इंक्रीज़ कर देते हैं, और जब एक बार डेंस पॉपुलेशन को हम इंट्रोड्यूस करते हैं ओपन लैंड एरिया में, ओपन एरिया में, तो उस केस में क्या होता है कि पॉपुलेशन डोमिनेंट होती है स्पीशीज़ की, तो अनवांटेड जो स्पीशीज़ वहाँ पे ग्रो कर रही है उसको वो इनहिबिट कर देती है। तो सर इसके लिए जैसे ICAR की लेबोरेटरी है, ICAR में टाइम टू टाइम ट्रेनिंग होता है एल्गल कल्टीवेशन के लिए, फार्मर्स वहाँ पर जाते भी हैं सर, बट ये प्रॉब्लम है इधर के साइड में ज़्यादा कि यहाँ के फार्मर्स इसको अडॉप्ट नहीं कर रहे हैं कल्टीवेशन को खास कर एल्गा के। तो पहली चीज़ तो सर हमें प्रमोट करना होगा, बताना ही होगा कि किस तरीके से माइक्रो एल्गी बेस्ड इकोनॉमी जनरेट कर सकते हैं फॉर डिफरेंट प्रोडक्ट्स के लिए। देन हम बता सकते हैं सर इसमें कि कैसे इसमें और अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ डेवलप की जा सकती है। पर कंटामिनेशन एक इसमें प्रॉब्लम है।
Yeah, fungal and
yes,
bacterial, I think
एग्जैक्टली
contamination
हाँ,
is
ये
very
इसमें
common.
सर एक प्रॉब्लम आती है जहाँ पे प्रोडक्टिविटी कम हो सकती है इस बायोमास की।
And the second question is, it is difficult to identify chlorella from other algal species. Means, if suppose a farmer want to cultivate, so they will get confused from the chlorella and a similar, structure algae.
Exactly, sir. But like in the case of spirulina, culture is provided by the laboratories or some companies in a very dense culture. Okay, sir. तो अगर हम फार्मर्स को डेंस कल्चर प्रोवाइड करते हैं, ऑर्गेनिक कल्चर उनको प्रोवाइड करते हैं, और अगर प्रॉपर तरीके से फार्मर्स कल्टीवेट करें, तो उस केस में यह है कि जो मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द पॉपुलेशन जो है वो क्लोरेला की वहाँ पे कल्टीवेट कर सकते हैं, बट हम कंटामिनेशन को अवॉइड नहीं कर सकते सर। और जहाँ तक आइडेंटिफिकेशन है, तो फार्मर्स ऐसे अगर हम बेयर आइज की बात करें, मतलब ऐसे बात करें, तो आइडेंटिफाई तो हम भी नहीं कर सकते उसको। अगर हमारे पास दो स्पीशीज़ हैं, एक क्लोरेला है और एक स्पिरुलिना है, तो केवल हम इनिशियल स्टेज से कल्चर को देख के डिफरेंस नहीं कर सकते कि कौन सी क्लोरेला है या कौन सी स्पिरुलिना है, ठीक है सर। लेकिन हाँ, ये है कि जो एजेंसीज़ हैं जो इनके स्टोरेज पे काम कर रही हैं, जो इनके कल्चर पे काम कर रही हैं, उनको थोड़ा फार्मर से और कनेक्ट होकर के उनको ट्रेनिंग देना कल्टीवेशन की, और किस तरीके से कल्चर को हम डेंस कर सकते हैं या कल्चर को एफिशिएंटली हम कल्टीवेट कर सकते हैं। अगर हम इसको एजुकेट करेंगे फार्मर्स को, तो वो आसानी से कल्टीवेट कर सकते हैं सर। डिफरेंशिएट तो हम नहीं कर सकते ऐसे देख करके जी।
Thank you. Thank you very much.
थैंक यू सर।
I think screen is shared now and everyone can see the email ID. Is it so?
Yes, Sambhuj, it's visible.
Yes, sir.
If someone else want to ask questions about the session, they are more than welcome. And here there is the email ID of Dr. Vinayak Vandan Pathak. If someone want to collaborate regarding studies, education, teaching, and anything, can take his email ID from here.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I had a question. Sir, we generally talk about conservation of energy. Sir, we generally talk about conservation of energy. Sir, if we are using the biofuels, do we still need to conserve the energy?
The concept behind the conservation of energy is basically a very fundamental concept. जैसे पहले हम बात करते थे कि अगर हमें एनर्जी रिसोर्स को सेव करना है, सस्टेनेबल करना है, तो हमें कंजम्पशन कम करना पड़ेगा। यानी कि बहुत अगर बेसिक बात करें तो हम कहते थे ना कि अगर आप कमरे के अंदर नहीं हैं तो लाइट ऑफ कर दीजिए या फैन ऑफ कर दीजिए। बट व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ सस्टेनेबल एनर्जी सप्लाई या सफिशिएंट एनर्जी सप्लाई? हम जो यूज़र है, जो कंज्यूमर है, तो कंज्यूमर की जो रिक्वायरमेंट है, चाहे वो लाइट के लिए है या ट्रांसपोर्टेशन के लिए है या कुकिंग के लिए है, ठीक है, जिस तरह की भी इसकी रिक्वायरमेंट है, हम उसको फुलफिल कर सकें, इतना एनर्जी हम प्रोड्यूस कर सकें ऐसे सोर्सेज से जिन सोर्सेज की डायरेक्ट कोई वैल्यू नहीं है। जैसे कि हम बायोफ्यूल को क्यों कह रहे हैं कि बायोफ्यूल एक ऐसा फीड स्टॉक है जिसकी हमें कोई वैल्यू दिखाई नहीं दे रही, लेकिन अगर हम उसको प्रोसेस कर रहे हैं तो एक वैल्यूएबल प्रोडक्ट में उसको हम चेंज कर पा रहे हैं, ठीक है। तो यहाँ पे हमें कंजर्वेशन ऑफ एनर्जी की बात नहीं करनी है, बल्कि यहाँ पर हमको बात करनी है एक रिलायबल सप्लाई ऑफ एनर्जी रिसोर्स की, जो रिन्यूएबल भी हो और कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव भी हो। ओके, Shambhi, I think I'm able to address your question.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I think if someone else is there, may I ask?
Sir,
We should conclude the session. Yeah, sure, Shambhavi.
Sir, the answer to my question that you were giving, sir, it means that conservation of energy has no important part in this biofuel. Um, like
No,
we can,
no.
there is
Conser
no role of this. We are just trying to move towards sustainable sources.
Actually, okay, okay. Actually, the concept of sustainability itself involve the conservation. अगर हम सस्टेनेबिलिटी की बात कर रहे हैं ना, तो कंजर्वेशन तो उसमें ऑलरेडी इन्वॉल्व है. मेरे कहने का सिर्फ ये मतलब है कि जब हम बायोफ्यूल जनरेशन की बात कर रहे हैं, तो हम कौन से ऐसे फीड स्टॉक से बायोफ्यूल बना रहे हैं जिनको कि हम अभी तक जिनकी कोई वैल्यू हम नहीं समझ रहे हैं, मतलब जिनको हम वेस्ट समझ रहे हैं. जैसे कि मान लीजिए कि सरप्लस बायोमास है, ठीक है, और वो सरप्लस बायोमास ऐसे ही हमने उसको छोड़ दिया, एंड आफ्टर सम टाइम क्या होगा, नेचुरल प्रोसेस है, डिग्रेडेशन होगा, ठीक है. लेकिन अगर हम उस वेस्ट बायोमास को एनर्जी में कन्वर्ट कर रहे हैं, तो कहीं ना कहीं हम क्या कर रहे हैं, हम अपने लिए एक यूजफुल रिसोर्स कन्वर्ट कर रहे हैं. तो ये जो कंजर्वेशन का जो कंसेप्ट है ना, ये थोड़ा सा इसको हमें समझना पड़ेगा डिटेल में. कंजर्वेशन सस्टेनेबिलिटी का इंटीग्रेटेड नेचर है, ठीक है. लेकिन अगर हम ये कहें कि हमें एनर्जी रिसोर्स को बचाना है इस कॉस्ट पे कि हम अपने लिए जो अवेलेबल एनर्जी रिसोर्स ऐसा कम से कम इस्तेमाल करें, ठीक है, तो ये भी सही कंसेप्ट नहीं है. हम एनर्जी का जो कंजम्पशन है इसको नेगोशिएट नहीं कर सकते यूजर के साथ, ठीक है. तो हमें यूजर को ये बताना है, या हमें ऐसी टेक्नोलॉजी डेवलप करनी है जहाँ पे जो अवेलेबल वेस्ट मटेरियल्स हैं, ठीक है, हम उनसे एनर्जी को जनरेट कर सकें, एक सर्कुलर सोर्स डेवलप कर सकें, ठीक है. तो ये जो कंजर्वेशन, मेरे कहने का मतलब है कि ये सस्टेनेबिलिटी का अपना एक इंटीग्रेटेड फीचर है. दूसरी चीज, अगर कोई भी चीज रिन्यूएबल है, हम कहते हैं ना कि रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी रिसोर्सेस, तो कोई भी चीज अगर रिन्यूएबल है तो वो सस्टेनेबल हो, ये भी जरूरी बिल्कुल नहीं है. क्योंकि सस्टेनेबिलिटी होने के लिए दो बातें बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. एक तो ये उसकी अफोर्डेबिलिटी, अगर आप किसी चीज को रीजनरेट कर पा रहे हैं तो यूजर क्या उसको अफोर्ड कर पा रहा है. हमारे देश में बायोमास बेस्ड एनर्जी जनरेशन को हम कंज्यूमर लेवल तक नहीं लेके आ पा रहे हैं. उसका मेन कारण ये भी है कि जो अफोर्डेबिलिटी है वो बहुत कम है, कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन बहुत ज़्यादा है, कॉस्ट ऑफ जनरेशन बहुत ज़्यादा है, ठीक है. तो कंजर्वेशन एक इंटीग्रेटेड पार्ट है, ठीक है, इन द केस ऑफ बायोफ्यूल. अगर हम बायोफ्यूल या बायोएनर्जी की बात कर रहे हैं तो आई होप आप
अच्छा
समझ पा रहे होगे कि मेरा
हाँ
डायमेंशन क्या
सर,
है कहने का,
हाँ
ठीक है.
अब समझ आ
ठीक
रहा
है
है. यस
शाम,
सर.
ओके.
I think all of the confusions are cleared now. Uh, Someone from message screen was asking something. Any feedback from Shreya Mishra? May I ask the question? Is there any feedback from? She is asking, but I guess we are not getting the question. If you please clear. Okay, let's conclude the session now. I would like to thank Dr. Vinayak Bandan Pathak, Dr. Alok Singh for giving their valuable time, and we will be taking such kind of very informative and kind of lectures, which are the part of our are the course part of the course curriculum of students of environmental science as well as other streams, as well as the researchers we are who are actually working on the field of energy. So again, I want to thank Dr. Vinayak Kundan Pathak and Dr. Alok Singh, and want to thank SFD JNU, Shodh JNU, and ABVP, particularly Mr. Rajman Gupta from ABVP, who is president of ABVP, for organizing this lecture. So thank you all for joining us, and let's conclude the session. Very thank you. SFD, I want to particularly thank convener of SFD JNU, Mr. Kalyan, and convener JNU Shodh, Mr. Saurabh Singh, for organizing and managing all the things for organizing this lecture. So many thanks to everyone for joining us. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ambuj.
Thank you. Thank you, Ambuj. Thank you, all the organizer, all the team members.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
And Vinayak ji, we will discuss it. It was a very informative talk, and I think students definitely will be benefited from your talk. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. And it was really a pleasure for me to be a part of you with this organization. And मेरा ये मानना है सर कि अगर आपका नेतृत्व रहे हम लोग के साथ में तो शायद हम लोग इस तरह के जो शोध कार्य हैं इसको
Sure,
और
sure,
प्लेटफॉर्म तक पहुंचा सकते हैं.
Sure, Vinayak ji.
हाँ, थैंक यू सर. थैंक यू.
For-
You're most welcome.
Thank you, sir. For the kind information of everyone, I would like to inform that this lecture will be uploaded on a YouTube channel of School of Environmental Science ABVP, which we will be sharing with you all soon. But you can log in YouTube and search for ABVP SESJNU, and you can find a YouTube channel. And in this YouTube channel, you can find the whole video of the lecture, so which you may share for further in future, which is actually a very informative and maybe very important for class curriculum and for the students. So let's conclude the session, and thank you all.
चलो सभी को नमस्ते.
नमस्ते सर.
मिलेंगे फिर से. नमस्ते सौरभ, मिलते हैं. ठीक है.